Two of our favorite podcasts are crossing over every 2 weeks. Kate Achille of Up Next at Work and George LaRocque of WorkTech look at the tech, business, and people that impact our HR and WorkTech industry. It's a crosspod with a unique strategic lens on what's happening in our world. Enjoy!
Okay, Up Next at WorkTech 2, number 2.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back. The feedback was good, so we live another day.
Yes, we do. And a lot's happened in the last 2 weeks.
It really has. I've been looking forward to this conversation because I feel like there's so much to talk about. So let's get at it. Let's jump right into it.
Yeah, y'all have been keeping us busy. All right, where do we want to start?
Let's start with a couple of funding deals that have come out. Sure. Interesting. There are a handful, but the two that I grabbed, the first one, Findem, raised what they called a $51 million Series C. It looks like you pointed out, Kate, that there's part of that is JP Morgan, I think.
Yeah, 2 tranches or split. I don't really know how they're defining it, but yeah. 36 Series C, 15 from JP Morgan.
Growth capital or something.
Growth capital. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I don't usually see JP Morgan in a like a VC, like a Series C, right? I wouldn't expect to see an investment bank there. I don't know. Could be that they are, looking. It could be a sign. When I see a $51 million Series C in this market, I wonder, are they thinking about making some acquisitions or some tuck-in acquisitions, or other capital could be used for other things as well.
I would say stay tuned on Findem because obviously they're up to something.
Yep. It's a cool product. They were early on in AI, and of course, like everybody now, they've got agents, and it's talent and labor intelligence, talent intelligence, sourcing, CRM type capabilities. And the thing about all of those type of vendors is they never stay there forever. They always branch into other categories. So yeah, I think stay tuned. We'll see where they're headed.
They're leaning heavily on this 3D data message, which we haven't really seen from anyone else. And that's a little nebulous currently, but I'm sure we're going to see other people try to tap into it soon. So they're first to market with that. Again, now they've got some money behind them. So we'll see what happens with it. Yeah.
And then the other one is sort of very different, where Findem's been in the market a while. It's a Series C. A new player, Jack and Jill, raised $20 million. And I want to say, I feel like they did they put a series?
Is A or is it seed or?
I feel like they.
Because I missed this one. So you flagged this one for me.
Yeah. It should be an A. I'm going to see what Crunchbase says while we're talking, because I feel like they didn't say which seed.
Okay, 20 million seed in
that's a
this economy.
Seed. Yeah. Well, and what they do, so it's agentic AI, like everybody knew these days. Their core product message seems. I have not talked to them. I haven't taken a demo. I'm uneducated on their product, but based on what they're telling us, you talk to an agent as a candidate. You identify you tell the agent about your dream job, and the agent brings you back jobs that fit your dream job. Now, those jobs come to you via email, which is not that innovative, but it's effective. It's hard for me when I look at what they're going to market with. They're coming to market right on their site, talking about displacing LinkedIn and displacing staffing, basically just disintermediating everyone. And it's hard for me to see how they're not just a marketplace with an agent on the front end and an email on the back end, and I know some tools for employers as well to get their jobs turned into dream jobs for candidates.
Yeah.
Sounds like, something that LinkedIn or Indeed or any of the players could really easily do. And it's hard to me to compete with those brands. Not that you can't compete with those brands, not that they're not displaceable, but it's going to take a heck of a lot more than $20 million to do it.
Yeah, because they'll just build it tomorrow and then you're kind of out of the picture
Right. Right.
if they haven't already.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
We'll see. I
we'll see. We'll
I
see.
like fresh eyes
We're
on the industry.
skeptics. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always, I should probably have like a disclaimer on any podcast. Like, I'm jaded. Hi, I'm George and I'm jaded. But I like fresh eyes
Yeah.
on the industry because fresh eyes, new ideas, energy, but at the same time, those folks, the fresh eyes that come into the industry that do the best are the ones who spend some time really understanding it, not understanding it like textbook theoretical understanding. I mean, getting in and understanding the ecosystem,
Yes.
how everything works. And those players tend to really disrupt things because they gain that knowledge
Yeah.
to help with it.
You can't just be like, I had a job once and I realized hiring was broken, so I started a company. Yeah, you really need to know
I've seen
this
that
very
deck.
strange. Yeah, I have too. I've seen it many times. I'm sure you have as well. Yeah, no, this is a strange little space. It's very collegial.
Yep, I agree.
So.
I agree. You had talked about some A activity as well. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I think the Humanly announcement that came out last week was the first one we talked about because that was a 3-for-1.
3-for-1.
Yeah, I think we would be remiss to not mention that one because it was Qualifi, Sprockets, and OurWork. And we don't often see, a company acquire 3 solutions in one day. I think Matt Charney did a really good job of writing up, what he thinks the rationale was there, and, what they're aiming to do as they kind of build out the platform with Humanly. But again, don't usually see that kind of acquisition strategy.
Yeah.
At least I haven't. Maybe you have.
And they're not a big vendor. I mean, it's like I call it a bold roll up. And for their size, it is pretty bold to do that. I interviewed all of the founders. So Sprockets had acquired the IP for OurWork. So it was sort of like, there are 3 founders, but there are 4 entities, coming together. And I think on paper, they were all already integrated, but integrating as partners versus integrating as one platform, that's a whole different ball of wax. And it's all in this, I wouldn't say, while they can do frontline hiring, it's not a frontline hiring play as much as it's a high volume play, which could be any type of hiring. If you look at Humanly, Sprockets was definitely franchise plays in frontline and high volume, and then workforce management sort of post hire, but Qualifi is automated AI driven voice interviews and screenings. And so this all comes together with a new slant at this high volume stuff. I think it sounds great. And like just acquiring one company is a big deal. 3 young founders coming together like this, jury's out, and I wish them the best because, they're all good people and good teams.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the other big one for this week was FairNow.
FairNow. That
FairNow.
surprised me. I did not expect FairNow to go off the table so quickly.
Yeah, and the thing that I found really surprising is that they not only did they go off the table, but they were acquired by someone from outside the space. They were acquired by a GRC solution, which I don't know that everyone knows what that stands for. So that is a governance, risk management, and compliance solution.
Yeah.
Not an acronym that gets thrown around in HR tech all the time. So AuditBoard was the acquirer of FairNow. And I think this one is particularly interesting because we are seeing, obviously FairNow was an AI governance solution, but I think we're seeing the governance word get used more and more and more in HR tech. Verizon put out their 2025 Mobile Security Index this week. And one of the stats that really jumped out to me there was that 93% of organizations are reporting that employees are using Gen AI tools on their mobile devices, but only 50% of organizations have defined and enforced usage policies, and only 45% are providing any sort of training on the risks.
Yeah.
And that's just mobile, but that's still a huge liability from a governance perspective.
Well, It's the mobile stat is incredibly relevant because what I came in this week talking, it's the same topic, is, thinking about shadow AI. So I saw all these articles about shadow AI, which is basically employees going to work and using AI for myriad things. And it's just the employer has no idea. So a lot of that's going to happen on a mobile device. I'm going to, I might not be able to have ChatGPT on my laptop that the employer's given me, but I've got it on my phone. I can get documents onto my phone. I mean, think about I was always surprised that companies like FairNow weren't growing faster. They were getting there was a lot of buzz, but the issues around compliance and risk and security are so huge. But I think it's going to be an IT driven. I think the IT's coming for all of our AI. If you work in corporate America, this won't stand for very long. It's just, there's too much risk involved. If you're there are articles about coders using, tools that aren't sanctioned by the employer. Think about that. Your IP, your source code being developed on some third-party tool and then imported. That's just a massive risk for anyone. So
100%.
Yeah.
The irony being I used to work at Verizon in their recruitment marketing. And so many things were blocked when we were on the campus. But I know, obviously, post-COVID, that obviously they had to start to allow some level of remote work. But again, if I'm home and I have other devices, you don't know what I'm doing on my other devices.
Right.
So, I'm not surprised 93% of people are using, whether it's ChatGPT or something else. But so that was an interesting one. Anything else from an M&A perspective?
I mean, there's a lot happening, and I think those are two good ones for this episode. We'll have more next time.
Yeah, it's Q4.
For sure. I have a couple of stories that I think come as a package that do a good job, and I think you've got some other things to add here, but they do a good job of stressing the conflict that we have in work right now around AI. So it was interesting because I literally went from the first story to the second story and thought I just read two completely contradictory things. And the first story, I'll start with the nice one. The CEO of Adecco, big staffing firm, and the CEO of Our Potential, never heard of them, but they're one of these digital worker companies. So they're basically develop agents that do work, digital worker, the difference being it's not just one discrete process, but it could replace a human. But their whole thing, this was with SiliconANGLE at Dreamforce, was that the future of AI is going to be augmenting human intelligence. It's going to be making humans more productive. And I think that's the story that we can all easily digest, and it sounds great.
That's today, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing now.
I think so.
Current state,
I think so.
yeah.
Yeah. But then I clicked on the next thing in my little feed that I have for myself, and the founders of Eightfold they're not busy enough with Eightfold.
They need more to do.
Yeah, they went out and raised if you thought a $20 million seed was large, they raised a $35 million seed round.
They're well connected, though, to be fair.
They are. And to launch Viven, Viven, a new startup that aims to create digital twins of your coworkers and employees. And this is the part that makes me cringe, by analyzing their emails, documents, messages, and meetings. So the example they give in the article is the teaser for the article was, if your coworker's out, don't worry, you can just ask their digital twin questions.
It's like the holograms they use of like dead rock stars or something. That's all I'm thinking of.
Right.
Like, oh, Freddie Mercury's dead. Don't worry, you can go see Almost Queen with him on stage. Like, that's what I'm thinking of.
Is Almost Queen a real thing?
Almost Queen is actually a cover band. But they were at one point doing like holograms of
oh my God. Yeah. So I, here's the thing, and I'm going to say this, and, Eightfold's had some great success, great
absolutely.
trajectory, but they're probably the, I haven't, I've been in this market a really long time. A lot of people have been confused about a lot of vendors. No one's ever been as confused about anyone as much as they've been confused about Eightfold. Like,
Yep.
I still get consistently, the question is, what do they actually do?
Well, they're the
And
everyman. That's the problem.
yeah,
They're the
okay,
everyman.
yeah,
That's like the archetype. If I had to match them to like a brand archetype, they're the everyman.
okay, okay,
They do everything for everyone. So
right,
you can't actually pin down what they
okay,
do.
okay.
That's your friendly PR person, giving you.
All right, I like
Yeah.
that. I relate to that. I relate to that.
Yeah. No, I mean
Yep,
but it's difficult then to explain, what they actually do.
right,
And yeah, I've heard the same thing of like,
yeah,
and it's always kind of like whispered, like, could you actually explain to me? Because
yeah,
nobody wants to seem like they don't
yeah, yeah,
understand.
yeah,
But so digital twin of your existing actual coworkers.
yeah.
That's
So this is
that's
definitely about increasing productivity by replacing
yeah.
people, right? So if
Well,
I
because if there's
have,
who takes a sick day then? Sick days
right,
don't exist.
that's right,
It's
that's
like how
right.
snow days don't exist now that we work from home.
Right.
Uh,
The whole, discussion about 4-day week work, irrelevant, 24/7, all
we're
the
always on.
time, always
And
on.
bring your whole self to work takes a whole different meaning too. Whew, that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah. So augmenting us versus replacing us, literally replacing people.
Well,
And
yeah, and this is where Amazon was talking about replacing us with robots this week. Half
okay.
a million workers with robots.
Yeah.
So are humans becoming obsolete is, I guess, I'm starting to wonder as we're having this conversation.
Maybe at work or in some workplaces. You also reminded me of I had caught the headline this week. Meta
Oh, yes.
is also, they just laid off how many people?
600 roles in their super intelligence labs AI unit or something like that, which are like arguably probably the like most well compensated
Yeah, I would
Meta
guess.
employees, because those are the people they were poaching from like the Perplexities and like OpenAI and like
Yeah,
those are like some of the smartest people in the world right now.
right.
So I mean, I understand, but like also I think Meta's reporting like, crazy profits this year.
That was the story that I had seen, was about how the crazy profits, revenue growth. But to your point, it's like, hey, come over here and help us develop this insane AI that is then going to replace you. That is then go, and then we're going
Yeah.
to lay you off. And the headline will read that it's because of the tech that you created.
Yeah, they probably all created a clone of themselves and now they no longer, yeah. I mean, depending on, I don't know what data set Meta
yeah,
is using or the super intelligence lab, but if it's super intelligent, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, oof, yikes.
There's a book that I can't remember the author's name. It's new. He runs one of the most reputable AI, think tanks, has for a long time, policy oriented. And the title of the book is If Anyone Builds It, We'll All Die. And it's all about, it's basically just because you can doesn't mean we should,
Yeah.
around AI. And I heard him interviewed on Hard Fork, and it was it was really interesting because he comes from that world, and he went from being one of the biggest enthusiasts to being still an enthusiast, but a cautionary, with a tale of caution about where to go, where we should be going with this. And it's these types of, I think, when I see that new Eightfold thing, I think, just because you can doesn't mean you should. I don't see the benefit for the humans involved in cloning them digitally. And it also begins to, like, where are the lines drawn? Like, I know that I'm using my employer's laptop to write these emails and communicate, but how much of what I'm communicating is my knowledge and my experience and my expertise, and how much of that are you stealing? Not just the document that I wrote, not just the framework for implementing a new customer, but and
The intellectual property. I mean, that's
right,
what it comes down to
right.
is what's our brains and what's not anymore. Which I mean, I guess that brings me to the Reddit lawsuit. I don't know if yeah. I
I
mean,
wasn't planning on giving you a
no,
segue, but there you go.
I wasn't
Yep.
planning either, but I mean, I think it slots in real nice
Yeah.
right here
Yeah.
because Reddit is suing pretty much everyone right now
Okay.
because they're saying that they had protected their site from, being used for AI purposes. And the lawsuit really singles out Perplexity. Like they're very mad at Perplexity.
Okay.
Basically, they're suing everyone that they say has scraped Reddit, and obviously Reddit is 20 plus years old at this point. That's a
Yeah.
lot of information. And the part that really got me though is the lawsuit, and the whole filing's online. You can download it. The lawsuit refers to Perplexity as an artificial company that is more akin to a North Korean hacker.
Wow. Them's fighting words.
Those are some fighting words. But again, like in terms of what is intellectual property, because again, Reddit is a community.
Right.
So that's, I mean, does Reddit own what's on Reddit or do the users?
Yeah.
So like this gets very complicated and very messy. But to the point you were just making, George, this Reddit lawsuit is going to set some precedents because, if Reddit owns what's on Reddit, and it can't be used for AI because they say that they had, protected themselves. What about all the publishers who are saying their books can't be used, the audiobooks can't be used, like everything, other websites, like what about the news? Like what if what if CNN says that nothing on CNN.com can be used for AI purposes?
It's
Where does this stop and where does it, where does it end?
It's so complicated. It challenges. My visceral reaction is, well, it's their stuff, and if they're protecting themselves, but then when you think about it, yet I can go Google and find your Reddit and access. I think I have logged into Reddit, but I never do anymore. But I do. I will look at a Reddit for information, and some of it's helpful, like anything, some of it isn't. But if I can crawl the internet and get access to Reddit and just as a human, then where does that line get drawn? That's a challenge.
Yeah. So as an individual versus, I mean, this gets real messy.
Right. It reminds me of the LinkedIn suits where I think some of the lines were drawn on what was accessible and what was accessible via a license. I'm not an expert on that stuff, or I have to refresh my memory on it. But I think they had there were similar challenges where some companies had built their businesses based on scraping LinkedIn profiles. Yeah. And I think that's also difficult because, LinkedIn's doing a great service by creating these profiles, but at the same time, if it's in the public domain, shouldn't it be accessible for us to use more efficiently? I think
LinkedIn's closed a lot of their APIs at this point. Like LinkedIn is it's very hard to access, and it's very hard to tap into a lot of, what's on LinkedIn at this point from the outside.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the solution. And I like Reddit's business is more attractive to anyone because of the fact that SEO can find topics on Reddit, and then I don't know how they monetize, but if they close that off, is it as useful?
Yeah.
But is it if they don't close it off, is it just a race to the bottom because once if Perplexity scraped it all, then I'm getting the same content there.
The wild west right now. And I mean, AI regulations, obviously that's a whole other topic, and it's another one.
Yep.
All right.
So let's all right, I'm going to keep us low for a moment, and then I want you, and you can bring us home on one that's a little more fun to laugh about.
Sure.
That we talked about. So I just have to note, I just noticed I saw The Economist wrote a piece about it, and then a more digestible piece was on from ABC. Since January, 50,000 women have dropped out of the U.S. labor market, and they say that the surge has been driven largely by women with young children. The high cost of daycare, childcare has been blamed, and that is just, after all the progress that's been made, that was shocking to me, because these aren't women, these are women leaving the workforce, not being laid off. These are their levers, if you will.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's the return to office. What do you think is happening? If
Yeah.
you're forcing women to go back to a physical office 5 days a week,
Yep.
and you're not providing childcare or a subsidy or something like that, this is something employers aren't taking into account. If you're not adjusting compensation, you're going to lose your talent. I mean, there's ample studies that have shown that if, women don't make, if women, or men, however the family structures their finances, people don't make over a certain amount of money. It doesn't, it doesn't make sense for people to stay in the workforce. Given current cost of living, in certain parts of the country, yeah, people are going to drop out. And at the same time, Amazon's 500,000 people with robots. So, obviously 450,000 women leaving the workforce for childcare purposes. You're talking a lot about, women who are millennials, Gen X to some extent, like some Gen Z, probably not quite as much. They're kind of just aging into, no, probably some Gen Z as well.
Yeah, that's true.
These are women who would be on amazing career trajectories right now, and you could potentially be losing them forever. But again, these are things that employers don't care about, apparently.
Yeah. It was shocking to me. I did not expect it. I probably should have expected it, but I did not. I'm fully aware of the high cost of childcare and healthcare and all the burden that it creates. But that's pretty bad when you're losing, 500,000 people women in
less than a year.
Less than a year.
And it hasn't been part of the return to office conversation. That's been missing this whole time from that narrative.
Right.
We keep hearing from CEOs talking about why we need people back in offices, but we're not hearing from why they shouldn't be. Yeah. And cost of childcare is a great reason why.
Yeah.
Because, not everybody can afford thousands of dollars a month.
Yeah. Well, this definitely creates an opportunity for employers who have solutions for this, but they're probably already reaping the benefits of that because those workplaces tend to attract smart people who are looking for, a good culture, a good environment. But like I said, I wanted to just keep us down there for a little bit more and then let's shift gears. Let's bring it back up. And I think we both I came in talking about, there's this new vibe working thing, not vibe coding. That's different, but it's vibe working. And then I have to let you get all the thunder for who you discovered or what you discovered.
Well, explain the vibe working first.
Okay.
For the folks who don't.
All right. So vibe working is basically AI being everywhere. It's that you can, talk to your app and tell it, rather than think of vibe coding. With vibe coding, you can just in plain, language describe what you want. And this app develops the front end, theoretically the back end prototype. And not a stitch of code was written by a human. Vibe working is companies embedding their AI everywhere and moving it toward the same model. So the AI is always on in like a Microsoft Excel or Word or PowerPoint, and it's taking what you've done or what you've told it and creating something, the next revision or something better. So that's what is making its way everywhere, literally everywhere. Everywhere you would touch your computer or phone, vibe working is coming your way.
Yes. So Microsoft Copilot is an example.
Right. It's embedded in when I go to Excel to work with my numbers, Copilot's with me now. And it's in the example. Yeah. It's also in PowerPoint and Word and everywhere that I go for Microsoft.
Yep. And so what Microsoft introduced this week as part of not vibe working, but in general, is they introduced Myco. I assume it's pronounced Myco. It could be Miko, but I think it's Myco.
I think it's Myco. I think it has to be Myco.
And it's got to be Myco. And Myco is the new Clippy. For anybody who remembers Clippy, you can go online and see what Myco looks like. There's a video and there's a whole article that I found on TechCrunch. And the fun Easter egg is if you click on Myco enough times, they, I guess, turn into Clippy. But yes, they have added added a fun little character, and they're calling Maiko Clippy for the modern era because we needed a new friend, I guess, to keep us company until our digital twin arrives.
I don't know why we need to give this technology like these attributes. I don't like I'm sure there are usability studies that they're clearly, they don't do anything. Yeah. But I just, so if you're going to do it, I don't know why they didn't just bring, like, it would have been hilarious and fun. Just bring Clippy back.
Yeah.
Just bring like a modern Clippy with better animation or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know
I guess
who
they have to appeal to like the people who don't remember Clippy, I guess.
There's
Maybe
a whole
that's it.
new,
There's a whole
but
new
it's like a whole new
set of
generation to meet Clippy. Anyhow,
Yeah. So now there's Maiko. And,
you know who Maiko reminds me of? I didn't see this at first, but when I just looked at Maiko back, there used to be, maybe they're still out there, the Teletubbies. Remember the Teletubbies?
Yes. Oh yes.
And the sun.
The sun. Oh yeah, you're right. It's kind of the little. Looks like the sun. Yeah. I don't know why we have to anthropomorphize everything now.
That's the word.
Yeah, it's very creepy and weird.
Yeah.
And also, like we're adults. We are grown adults. I don't necessarily need a cartoon to keep me company throughout the day.
Right.
I mean, I guess, Clippy was fun. Honestly, I didn't even really use Clippy that much when, I was younger, but, here we are.
I didn't either.
It's kind of annoying. Clippy, I remember Clippy being annoying.
I turned Clippy off.
Yeah.
Like whenever Clippy appeared.
Yeah.
And for those of you, probably many that are too young to remember Clippy, it was basically a paperclip with eyes and a mouth.
The original AI agent.
It bounced a lot. I remember it like
or
it was springy because it was a paperclip.
Yeah. It's like the original. And it wouldn't leave you alone. It gave you recommendation.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah. But so there you go.
There it is.
I think that's it for.
I think that's it. And this was another good one.
Yeah, and our pit and peak for the week.
Yeah.
That's our ending. So I'm going to give one that's both a pit and a peak.
Okay.
I won't put George on the spot this time. I know that that freaked you out last time. So this is one that I found to be both a pit and a peak, and I will explain why. So we talk a lot about AI, or we have so far on our 2 episodes, and obviously AI is everywhere, and with it comes these massive data centers. And we know that that's putting a lot of stress on resources in certain areas. And so one thing that I found out this week through Sharon Goldman, who writes for Fortune, she has a Substack. Apparently, AI data centers are actually affecting the November election. Obviously, a lot of states have elections coming up. In New Jersey, for us, it's a gubernatorial election.
Yep.
Depending on where you're located, might not be. I think in Pennsylvania, they're like voting for retention of their judges or something. Again, depending where you are, the issues might be different. But for us, the data centers are actually on one of the big issues, and the candidates have different opinions. And one candidate is on the side that the data centers, they're going to require the data centers would help fund grid modernization. And that's important because obviously the grids that exist today, the power grids, were not built to support AI, because when the power grids were built, they weren't built to support computers.
Right.
They didn't know what Clippy was back then. And, I'm married to an electrician, so obviously power is something that's very important in this family. So I thought that was very interesting that AI data centers are impacting our election.
Yeah, that it makes total sense, and it should impact for all the reasons that you outlined. And it's not just the power aspect, but I think about the security aspect too. That every time a major, I'm talking, war level security issue is brought up, the grid is brought up all the time. So modernization there, I'm sure that would be a part of it as well.
That's a pit and a peak because it is important, and it could go either way. It could be bad, it could be good, but either way, I'm going to say get out and vote in November. That's where I'm going to end this.
Yeah. And I'm going
to,
because I am woefully unprepared with a pit or a peak, and you provided both, I'm going to be, yes, I agree. Let's end it right there.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening.
All right.
We'll be back.
Thanks, everyone. All right.
Thanks for listening to or watching Up Next at WorkTech, brought to you by the Work Defined Podcast Network, the Devon Group, and WorkTech.